So when someone's having these hallucinations and hearing voices, which most people will, send them crazy in the sense that you get pretty paranoid if that's happening, what's actually happening is the normal chemicals in their brain, we call them the neurotransmitters, they're kind of the communication molecules. Adrenaline is one, dopamine is another. They get processed wrongly, and actually they break down into substances that are hallucinogens.
Well, I've had people come to me, for example, with panic attacks. And panic attacks, you think, oh my God, they're going to have to be on medication or heavy-duty psychotherapy. In fact, on occasion, I've diagnosed them as hypoglycemic. And once they went on an appropriate hypoglycemia diet and kept their blood sugar more balanced, and some other supplements such as chromium, vanadium, magnesium, manganese, and vitamin C, and so on, once they began to balance themselves biochemically, this so-called psychological problem, the panic attacks, seemed to go away.
All of our function of our brain and everything depends on a stable level of glucose in the blood. And the conventional view used to be that you're either fine or you have diabetes. But now we know there's a big gray area in the middle where someone has a blood sugar problem. And of course, if your blood sugar shoots too high, you can become very manic. And if it shoots too low, you can become very depressed. So very often mood swings are connected with an inability to keep blood sugar levels even.
Listen, I just heard a lecture at the last orthomolecular conference on fats, which I never would have listened to before, and I was sitting with my girlfriend, and it was clear we were the only two sort of perennial patients in the room. It was mostly doctors. And at one point, as this fellow was talking about oils and the symptoms, the mental symptoms you can get without the essential oils,
Essential fatty acids.
my girlfriend Rosie went, "Essential oils? Of course, they're essential."
If you're deprived of either one of the two essential fatty acids, your behavior changes because your brain doesn't work, because your brain is made out of food, and if the foods you require for the structure of the brain aren't there, it doesn't make sense that you would expect the brain to function normally. There are studies that show that schizophrenics hallucinate less when they get the essential fatty acids to require. There are studies that show that your intelligence goes up and you learn faster. Learning disabilities, clumsiness, or what's called dyspraxia, respond well to essential fatty acids. And they have to get from foods two substances the body can't make.
And 70% of our brain is made directly out of fat. And the big problem these days is that we're eating the wrong kind of fat. We eat a lot of saturated fat from milk products or from meat. And also a lot of the fats we eat have been damaged or processed. You see, if you look on a lot of products, you see these hydrogenated vegetable oils, and they're really bad news. What we're lacking are essential fats, and they come from seeds and nuts, and also from fish, particularly the fish with teeth.
There's kind of a framework in which these episodes happen. I was tending to be variable, volatile, vulnerable to deep, dark, long depressions for no reason. But then there'd be episodes of flaring up of energy, sort of hypomanic sort of states.
This is what we call high histamine. And what histamine does is it speeds up the body's metabolism. It like turns up the fire. And they tend to be compulsive and obsessive in their personality. They wake up early. Their mind is always thinking. And this is not a problem. There's an awful lot of very successful people and creative people and multimillionaires and so on who are high histamine. They're kind of driven people. However, the high histamine people tend to become deficient in nutrients because they burn up the nutrients faster. So if they're on a bad diet, that sort of mild compulsive obsessive tendency can really flip over into mental illness. And